What is going on, guys? It's PANJ here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys the updated guide to the H1Z1 Ultimate FPS increase guide. The main reason for the update to this video is because H1Z1 has recently received an update which has taken the game out of early access, which has actually gone ahead and managed to add a couple more game modes to the game, finalize some things towards the game, and add more further optimizations to the base game itself. Now, the reason for this guide needing to be updated from my one that I provided around about 2 months ago is that with this early access update, that guide is now obsolete, and if you follow the previous guide, I have removed all the links on it and stuff like that. It won't actually allow you to boot your game. So with inside of this video, I'm going to be bringing you guys the latest and greatest Ultimate FPS increase guide for H1Z1. There'll be configs in here for you guys to choose from, all the way from ultra low end systems all the way up to ultra high end systems and everything in between. So there should be a config in here and a good mix and match for pretty much everyone out there, regardless of what sort of system you're running on. And as always, guys, if you guys do appreciate this video and you are happy with the results from this video, please do leave a like on the video, as it does help me out tremendously, and share it around with any friends, family, or any Steam friends or squad mates that might also benefit from the fixes within this guide. If you guys can also find out what your results are beforehand, before doing this guide, and also what they are after, and leave them down in that description down below, that'll be fantastic as well. And feel free to leave any suggestions, questions, or queries down there also. And one last thing before proceeding on to the guide, just to let any of my frequent followers know that I've actually opened up a Patreon, so you guys can actually go down to the description down below and you can check that out if you wish to do so. If you wish to further support the channel, it's not necessary, but for any of you guys who might just want to further support the work I do and allow me to put more time into this, you can do so there. But again though, I must stress that it's not necessary, and for you guys out there who are just watching this video, that is enough alone. Right, so starting off with the guide, as usual, what you guys need to go ahead and do is navigate down into the description down below and find the H1Z1 full release FPS increase pack provided by myself. It should be a Dropbox link. Click on the link, go to Dropbox, download it, and put it onto your desktop. Now, you're either going to need a program called 7-zip or WinRAR to be able to open up this file, just because it's a folder that's packed into one. So again, if you don't have either of those programs, use Google, or you can simply go down into the description down below and click on either 7-zip or WinRAR, download it and install it. Then once you guys have got one of those programs installed and you have the file on your PC, simply right click on the file and hit extract here. You'll then be given a folder which will be called H1Z1 Full Release FPS Pack by PANJ. Double click on the folder. Then with inside of here, you'll notice that you've got 2 folders and a file. You've got the game files folder, optimizations folder, and the credits.txt file. Within inside of the credits.txt file, you can find the original links for all of the programs within inside of the optimizations folders and the original authors' websites if you wish to go and pay credits over towards them, and check out the original websites for the latest updates of the programs in there. So keeping this guide as fast and as informative as possible, we're going to be going straight ahead to installing our optimized custom game files. So to do this, simply go inside of the game files folder. Then with inside of here, you're going to be noticing 4 options. You've got high end, low end, medium end, and ultra low end. For the majority of users watching this video, if you guys have about an average or a high end PC, I recommend sticking with the medium end config, as that's a happy medium between low settings, high settings, and it'll be further optimized for the best overall performance for most machines. If you guys have a high end machine and you still want better graphics than usual, go with the high end config. For any of you guys running on lower end or older hardware, I'd recommend going with low. And for anyone running on pretty much a potato PC and you can barely run the game, go with the ultra low end config. And if you guys wish to have a further increase to your FPS at the end of this guide, I recommend coming back into here and maybe going down to the config below the one you chose. So let's say you choose medium end and you're not particularly happy with the results, or you wish you could get more of an FPS bump, it might be worthwhile coming back into here and going into the low end and installing that. So once you guys have made a decision as to which config you're going to be installing, for me on this machine I'm going to be installing the medium end config. Simply go ahead and double click on the folder, and then you'll find a file called user options within inside of there. Now to install this, it's very simple and easy to do. Simply navigate down to Steam, go over to H1Z1 on Steam, right click, and then go to Properties. With inside of here, simply navigate to the top of the screen and click on Local Files. Then go down to Browse Local Files and click on that. Then with inside of here, you're going to be finding a bunch of files and folders with inside of the original H1Z1 location. So to install our custom optimized game file, it's very simple. Just simply drag this folder across to the right hand side, and you should also have the config folder opened, which is inside of the game files folder. Grab the user options from inside of the config folder you're using, drag it over, and drop it. It'll then ask you to replace the file in this destination, press yes, and wait for the file to then be replaced. You can then simply close out of the config folder, and we can then proceed to apply some more fixes with inside of the H1Z1 folder itself. Following on from that step, and inside of the H1Z1 files themselves, we're going to be going to the file called client config. Double clicking on client config, and you'll be given a notepad that looks just like this. Now there's a couple of options we're looking to tweak inside of here depending on what your system specs are like, and it's very easy to do so. We're then going to be scrolling down to the asset delivery option, and we're going to be changing these 4 options here: indirect thread count, direct enabled, and indirect enabled. First off, we want to make sure that direct enabled is set to 1, indirect enabled is set to 1, and then on the side of the direct thread count and indirect thread count, we're going to be setting these uniquely to what your PC specs are. Now to find which you're going to be setting these numbers to, simply navigate down to the bottom side of your screen, right click on your taskbar and go to Task Manager. And then within inside of Task Manager, simply click on the Performance tab at the top, click on CPU, and in the bottom right hand side you'll see two options called cores and logical processors. We're going to be starting off by going off of our core number. Now for me these numbers are matching, which is simple. For you guys it might be different, these numbers might be different to the ones I'm using. This is completely unique to your system and I doubt your numbers will match mine. For you it might say 2 cores here, 4 logical processors, it might say more, it might say less. So starting off we're going to be going to our cores. As you can see I've got 6 cores here. Again this number will probably be different for you. So I've got 6 cores and I'm going to be setting my direct thread count to 6. And then I'm going to be going back over to the right hand side and now looking at my logical processors. For me that is also 6. Again this number will probably be different for you, but for me the logical processors is 6, and I'm going to be going over to my indirect thread count and setting that to 6. So again, indirect thread count equals your logical processors and direct thread count equals your cores. And once you guys got those set, simply go up to File, Save, and then you can then exit out of the notepad. You can close out of your task manager and then we'll be left back inside of the game files. And now once we're left inside of the game files, there are only a couple more tweaks left to actually do to the game files themselves. And this is to navigate down to the H1Z1 application, right click on the application and go to Properties. Then on the side of here, go to the Compatibility tab found here at the top. And then what you want to go ahead and do is simply scroll all the way down to Override High DPI Scaling Behavior Performed By. Check that option, set it to application, and also check the option for disable full screen optimizations. Now depending on what sort of PC you're running on and what sort of operating system you're running on, these two options here might be worded slightly differently, or you might only have one of the options, or you might have none of the options at all. So just simply follow all the options you can. If they're both there for you, check them both. If only one of them is there for you, check just the one. And if neither of them are there, that's absolutely fine, you can just skip this part. But for the majority of you, if they are there, make sure that you check these two options. Once that's then done, simply go ahead and press apply and OK. You then also want to repeat the steps for the Launchpad application down here. Right click, Properties, Compatibility, and also check Disable Full Screen Optimizations and Override High DPI Scaling Behavior. Once they're both then checked, simply go ahead and press apply and OK. And then we're done tweaking around with the game files themselves, so you can simply just go ahead to the H1Z1 folder and exit out. And another quick FPS increase guide for you guys who often play this game alone and you play it solos and you don't use the Steam overlay whilst inside a game, I do recommend you turn that off. But again, only enable this option if you guys are running the game solo, as if you want to invite any friends, the Steam overlay will no longer work and you'll have to re-enable it and restart the game. But for any of you guys who just mainly play this game solo, go ahead, right click on H1Z1, go down to Properties, then under General you'll find the two options called Enable Steam Overlay whilst in game, uncheck that, and use Desktop Game Theater while VR is active, uncheck that as well, and then simply go ahead and press close. But again, only enable that option if you play this game alone and you don't invite people on Steam. And proceeding on from there, we can now go ahead and actually apply some optimizations to the operating system itself to ensure we're getting the best FPS possible, the lowest amount of input lag possible, not just on H1Z1, but pretty much every single game you play out there, you should be seeing benefits. So starting off with this, what we're going to be doing to make sure we're on the safe side, and you guys can simply revert back any of these options when and if you wish to do so, just to keep it simple and safe for you guys. And if you wish to revert back with ease, we're simply going to be enabling a system restore point at this point in the video. So to do this, simply navigate down to the bottom left hand side and then type in restore. Inside of here, then click on the create a restore option. And then with inside of the system restore option, we're going to be navigating down to our local disk C drive, clicking on it once and then pressing configure. Inside of here, make sure that turn on system protection is then checked. And I like to set this bar down here to around about 3% and then press apply and press OK. Once you guys have gone ahead and configured it, simply go down to the create button and press create. With inside of here, you can call this anything you wish to do so. I'm just going to call it backup and then press create. It'll then notify that the system restore point was created successfully. You can press close and you can then press OK. Now the main reason we've done that is just to give you guys ease of mind and keep you safe, so you can simply revert back Windows to the point it's at now if you don't wish to keep any of the optimizations from this guide, if you decide they're no longer for you, or you just want to revert Windows back for any reason, or just stay on the safe side, you can revert Windows back with ease from now on. Just to ensure that if anything does go wrong or you misclick anything, or your system just isn't happy with the settings and it might run a little bit sluggish, you can just simply revert them back easily. Proceeding on from there, we're then going to be optimizing the operating system itself for gaming performance. So to do this, it's very simple to do. Just simply navigate down into the bottom left hand side and type in run, then press enter. Then on the side of the run box, we're now going to be typing in regedit, just like so, and then press enter again. And then on the side of here, the registry editor for Windows will then open up. Might look a little bit confusing, but it's actually very simple to follow along with. We're going to be clicking on the H key local machine folder by double clicking, then going down to the software folder, clicking again. Then this time we're going to be scrolling all the way down until we find the Microsoft folder and double clicking. And inside of the Microsoft folder, we're going to be scrolling all the way down until we find a folder called Windows NT, just like so, double clicking, then going into current version by double clicking, then scrolling down until we find a folder called multimedia, which is this folder here, clicking again, and then clicking on System Profile once. Then once you guys have clicked on System Profile once, simply navigate over to the right hand side. You might have something called network throttling in here. That's absolutely fine. If you don't worry. But we're going to be right clicking, selecting new, and selecting DWORD 32-bit value. Then inside of here, we're then going to be calling this DWORD 32-bit value System Responsiveness. Just like so. You guys can navigate down into the description down below and just copy and paste this if you wish to do so, in case you're worried about any spelling mistakes. Just make sure it's spelt right, copy the on-screen text, and then press enter. Then on the side of that key, simply double click on the key, set the value data to 0, and make sure the base is set to hexadecimal. Once that's then set, simply go ahead and press OK. And then once that's then set, simply navigate down to the System Profile folder again. This time, double click on System Profile, double click on Tasks, and then go to Games and double click. Then on the right hand side, you'll notice a bunch of different keys have opened up. This might look a little bit confusing, but it's very easy to do. We're going to be starting off by going to the priority key, double clicking on priority. And we're going to be setting the value within inside of the priority key to 6. Again, making sure the base is set to hexadecimal and pressing OK. Then going over to GPU priority, double clicking, and this time we're going to be setting the priority within inside of here to 8 and pressing OK. And then last but not least, we're also going to be going down to scheduling category, double clicking. Then on the side of here, this will usually be set to medium, just like so, but we're going to be setting this to high, which is HIGH, and then pressing OK. And once you guys are done inside of there, you can then simply go ahead and exit out of the Windows registry editor. Following on from there, we're actually going to be going ahead and optimizing our Windows settings themselves. So to do this, simply navigate down into the bottom left hand side again, and then this time we're going to be typing in this PC, just like so. This time we're going to be right clicking on this PC and going to Properties. Then inside of here, we're then going to be navigating to the left hand side and clicking on Advanced System Settings. Then on the side of here, go to the Advanced tab at the top, go to Performance and click Settings. Starting off with the Visual Effects tab found here on the top left hand side, simply go down to the Custom option in here, check Custom, and then start to uncheck every single option within inside of here. And the only options we want to actually enable inside of here are smooth edges of screen fonts and show thumbnails instead of icons. I also personally like to turn off smooth edges of screen fonts, so I'm going to be turning that off. But for the majority of you, you're going to want this on, as Windows text will start to look rough. Some people have asked me how to do that, and that's how you do it if you want the more jaggedy sort of Windows looking font. It doesn't really help in performance, but I just prefer the way it looks. So again, it's up to you whether or not you want to go ahead and leave this on or off. I'm going to be leaving it off. Once it's then set, simply go ahead and press Apply. Then navigate up to the Advanced tab now at the top. Set Processor Scheduling to adjust best performance of programs. Then go down to the Virtual Memory tab and select Change. Now with inside of here, this will usually be set to automatically manage paging file for all drives. That's absolutely fine. Just simply go ahead and uncheck that option there at the top. Now with inside of here, we're going to be going ahead and removing any paging files that are previously set, and we're going to be setting up our paging file properly. This might sound a little bit confusing, but just simply follow along with what I'm doing. So start off by clicking on your C drive and any other drives you have within inside of here. You might have more, you might have less, or you might just have the one drive. So start off with every single drive in here, select it, go down to no paging file and press set. Then press yes. Go down to all of your other drives inside of here. So for me, I'm going to be doing this to my D drive, no paging file set. E drive, no paging file set. Once we've set no paging file within inside of all of our drives inside of here, and if you look to the right hand side of the screen right now, you'll also see a criteria as to where you're going to be wanting to place your paging file. So I'm going to be going through best case scenario to worst case scenario as to where you should be putting this. So starting off with the best case scenario, if you guys have an SSD installed to your system, we're going to be wanting to set our page file to our SSD. So if you do have an SSD on your system, simply take note of which drive letter that is, and we're going to be installing our page file to that. If you guys don't have any SSDs inside of your system, but you have multiple hard drives inside of your system, we're going to be wanting to put our paging file on the hard drive that does not have our games on it. And worst case scenario is you guys just have one hard drive installed to your system, and in that case we're going to be installing our paging file to that hard drive. So again, going off the criteria on the right hand side, if you have an SSD, install it to the SSD. If you guys don't have an SSD but you have multiple hard drives, install it to the hard drive that doesn't have your games installed onto it. And if you just have the one hard drive or the one SSD on your system, make sure you go ahead and install it to that. So going off of that criteria, my system here has an SSD installed, which is my C drive. So I'm going to be setting it to my C drive. So go ahead, select the drive number in which you're going to be installing it to. For me, that's C drive. Highlight it once, then go down to System Manage Size, and then click Set. And then once you're done inside of there, simply go ahead and press OK. It'll then notify you that a restart will be required for the changes to take effect. Press OK, and then press Apply, and then press OK. You can then press OK inside of the System's Property tab, and this restart prompt will then open up. We're going to be clicking Restart later, as we're going to be restarting our systems after all of the optimizations have been applied to our systems. And a quick optimization for any of you guys who were running Discord whilst playing H1Z1, you can actually go ahead and further optimize Discord itself so it uses less resources. It doesn't give any negative effects within inside of the program, it will still run the exact same and look the exact same, but it just eases off on your system resources. So to apply this optimization, it's very quick and easy to do. Simply go ahead, navigate to Discord, and once you guys are inside of Discord, simply navigate down to the bottom left hand side, click on User Settings by your profile, and then on the left hand side here we're looking for the Appearance tab. Click on the Appearance tab, then scroll all the way down within inside of the Appearance tab until you find the Advanced section. And then within inside of here, we're then looking for the Hardware Acceleration mode. Simply go over to the flicker switch and click it to the off position. And then press OK. Discord will then restart. And then once Discord is restarted, nothing should look different. It shouldn't run any slower, but it will just simply ease off of your system resources, especially whilst you're playing games, just to ensure that we're getting more processing power towards the game itself. Another quick heads up, I also recommend closing any web browsers, especially for any Google Chrome users when you're playing H1Z1, as that will hog performance. And Chrome itself is actually becoming almost terrible whilst playing games on how much resources it hogs, especially on your RAM usage. So I recommend making sure that you close out of every single tab on Chrome, close out of Chrome entirely whenever you're playing any games, especially H1Z1. Following on from that step, we're then going to be enabling the best power mode options within inside of Windows to ensure we're getting the best CPU resources possible to ensure that our games are running to the best of their abilities. So to do this optimization, it's very simple to do. Navigate to the bottom left hand side, click your Windows button, and then within inside of the search box, simply type power. And then within inside of here, we're then looking for any of the battery with the cord around it icons. Just simply click on any one of them that appears up there. Then go to the power options tab found here at the top. Then within inside of here, simply go to the show additional plans drop down menu, and we're looking for the high performance power plan. Once you guys find it, simply go ahead and check it. Then within the side of here, click change plan settings. Then with the side of these two options here, you can set these to anything you wish to do so. They are completely personal preference, so set them to whichever you wish to do so. But the options we're interested in doing inside of here are actually change advanced power settings. Click that once, and then the advanced power options will then appear here on the left hand side. We're going to be starting off by going into the hard disk option by pressing the plus sign, going into turn off hard disk after, going into the setting. This will normally be set to 20, double click and then set this number to 0. Then press apply, then scroll all the way down to processor power management, click the plus button again, and then also maximize the minimum processor state and maximum processor state. Make sure that both of these are set to 100%. Again, if they're not, simply click on the value, set it to 100, and then press apply. And then once they're both then set to 100%, press OK. Simply go ahead and then press save changes, and you can then exit out of the Windows power options. Proceeding on from there, we can actually go ahead and actually unpark our CPU cores, which will allow our games and other applications within inside of Windows that are using heavy CPU resources to get the full potential of the processor itself. Might sound a little bit confusing, but if you guys go into the FPS pack provided, you can go into the credits.txt and find a further more in-depth explanation of this on CoderBag's website. You can also find the latest updates of this program if you wish to do so. So again, a brief explanation as to what this does. Windows usually parks around about 2 of your CPU cores just to have put on the back burner just in case anything opens up in the background of your games, or if you guys are running something like Spotify, or if you're running Google Chrome and you're running multiple programs whilst you're playing games. They're usually reserved cores just to make sure that everything has adequate resources, but you're going to want to disable this on pretty much every single system. Reason being, we should be closing out of those programs anyway. You won't be seeing any slowdowns from any other programs, and this will help unlock 100% of the CPU power when and if the game needs it. This should stop any stuttering you have inside of games. It should also help increase the overall frame rate within inside of them as well, and decrease your input lag. So to do this, it's very simple to do. Simply go into the optimizations folder within inside of the FPS increase pack. Then within inside of here, double click on the CPU core parking 3 app. Within inside of here, you'll then find the setup file for CPU core parking. Simply go ahead and double click. It will then bring you into the CPU core parking setup wizard. So to start the installation, simply press next, agree to the terms of the license agreement, and then press next. Install it to the default location by pressing next, and then press install. Once the installation is then completed, make sure that launch CPU core parking 3.exe is highlighted, and then press finish. Then within inside of here, you'll then notice that the CPU core parking manager 3 utility is then opened up, and it might look a little bit confusing. You can also find some basic information about your processor inside of here, and we're interested in changing just 3 options. Starting off, we're going to be going to our power data plan found here in the top left hand side, clicking on the drop down menu, and we're going to be selecting high performance, as that is the Windows power plan we're now running on. With inside of here, we're going to be going down to the core parking index. This will more than likely not be set to 100% for you guys, but if it's not, don't worry, just simply go ahead and drag the little bar here, drag it all the way to the right hand side to 100%, and also do the same for frequency scaling here on the right hand side, drag it all the way up to 100%. Once high performance and both of them are set to 100%, simply go ahead and press apply. It'll then notify that the changes have successfully been applied, and then press OK. Again, you can find out what your CPU speed is there, the CPU in which you are running, and the cores and the logical processes inside of there. It's not any information we need for the rest of this guide, but again, if you guys are just nosy as to what sort of system you're running on, you're not entirely sure, that'll give you some info. Once you're then done with inside of there, we can then simply go ahead and press close. Proceeding on from there, and one of the last steps with inside of this guide, we're actually going to be going ahead and applying some basic system maintenance and decluttering our systems to ensure that our hard disks and SSDs are running to the best of their ability and freeing up some excess space. So to do this, it's very simple to do. Navigate into the bottom left hand side, and this time we're going to be typing in %appdata%, just like so, and pressing enter. With inside of here, we're then going to be navigating to the top and clicking on the app data folder here, and then going into the local folder and scrolling all the way down until we find a folder called TEMP, which is just here. Double clicking, then on the side of here, you're going to notice a ton of folders and files. So what we're simply going to be doing is all the way from the top to the bottom of the folders and files, simply highlight and drag and drop every single one inside of there, then right click and press delete. It'll then notify that the action cannot be completed for all folders and files. That's fine, just simply hit do this for all current items and hit skip. If that prompt then comes up again, just make sure that you go ahead and press skip. Then once all of those files and folders have then been deleted, you might find that maybe 1 or 2 files are left remaining or a couple of folders, but the only files remaining inside of here are the only files in which your Windows is actually using. Everything else could have been an excess caching file, dump file, or just excess rubbish that your system has been storing on it. Depending on how long you've had Windows 10 or your Windows installed for, this folder can be absolutely huge. And it's usually at this point where I get you guys to go into the comments down below and let me know how much you actually managed to remove from here, as some of the stories are absolutely crazy. So if you guys did actually manage to catch how many gigabytes you actually managed to remove from here, do let me know down in that comment section below. Once you're then done inside of there, I also like to go to my recycling bin on my desktop, right click and hit empty, and yes. Now, one of the last and most important steps that so many people miss out when inside of these guides is to actually go ahead and install the latest GPU driver for the GPU installed to your system. So what I want you guys to now do is navigate down to the description down below and click on the corresponding link for whether you're running on an NVIDIA GeForce card or an AMD Radeon card. Click on your corresponding link and you'll be brought to either of these websites. For your NVIDIA GeForce guys, it's very simple to do. Just simply navigate to the automatic driver updates tab found here at the top, go to the GeForce experience and hit download. Download the program, install it, follow the wizard, it will go ahead and detect everything for you and install the latest graphics driver for you. Again, this is very, very, very important that you do this. For your AMD Radeon users, it's a very similar process. Simply go to the website provided down below, go to the automatically detect and install your driver, click download now on this tab. Again, open up the program, install it to your PC, follow the wizard, and it'll go ahead and detect and install everything it needs to go ahead and do for you guys. Updating your GPU driver can fix so many issues. It can further boost your FPS. It can also fix any stuttering problems or maybe even any corrupt files within the side of the old driver, depending on which version you're using, and it is highly recommended that you probably update your GPU driver around about once a month to once every 2 months. Once you guys have installed your drivers, for any of you NVIDIA guys, you can actually go into the FPS pack provided once again, go into the optimizations folder, and you can go into the NVIDIA settings guide here. You can actually find some screenshots for the best NVIDIA control panel settings. To get to your NVIDIA control panel, simply right click on your desktop, open up NVIDIA control panel, and follow those screenshots in there. They are very easy to follow, but I'm not going to be going over them in this tutorial as they are very easy to follow and they are only for NVIDIA guys. Another quick recommendation and a card I'm going to be putting on the screen now is actually a guide to my latest GPU overclocking guide. It's been made extremely simple and easy to follow. It's been getting some fantastic reviews and some fantastic feedback, and there is so much performance at your guys' fingertips that you don't have to pay anything for, and it's very simple and safe to do. Gone are the days of overclocking being dodgy and sketchy to do. I highly recommend pretty much every single person watching this video, if you have the time, go over there, overclock your GPU, find the stable overclock. It's very, very simple to do, and it's one of the simplest guides on YouTube, and the feedback is absolutely phenomenal on there. So if you guys do have the time, you'll be seeing great FPS benefits from following that guide. Again, link is down in the description down below, and you can also click on the card on screen now. And now once you guys have reached this point in the video, we're actually good to go ahead and actually restart our machines, log back into Windows, come back onto the video, and we're good to continue on from there, just to make sure that all of the optimizations have been applied and everything is good to go. Welcome back to the video, guys. You should have now restarted your systems, and we should be ready to go ahead and boot into H1Z1. So one last step you guys have to do before booting into the game is going into the FPS pack provided one last time, double clicking and going into the optimizations folder. Then on the side of here, we're going to be getting the timer resolution.exe and dragging this onto the desktop. Once timer resolution.exe is on the desktop, you're probably wondering what this program is and what it does. This program basically lowers the amount of latency between the hardware inside of your system, the game application itself, and the operating system to ensure that it's getting the lowest amount of input latency, it's getting the lowest amount of stuttering, and will also help increase your overall FPS. It's a very simple and lightweight program to use, and I pretty much use it for every single application I use, whether that be editing, whether that be other games. This program is just absolutely fantastic, and it works across the board for laptops, desktops, and I recommend using it on pretty much any system. So assuming that we're ready to actually go ahead and boot into our game, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use time resolution. So to use time resolution, before you go ahead and boot your program, game, whatever it is you want to play, in this case it's going to be H1Z1, double click on the program, then go ahead into the bottom left hand side and click maximum. That will set the minimum time resolution possible, giving you guys the lowest amount of latency. What you guys can then do is minimize out of the program, open up your game, play it for however long you wish to do so. Once you're then done playing your game, or you're going to be walking away from your PC for a while, you guys can go ahead and just simply open up the program again by maximizing it from your taskbar, selecting default, and then exit out. Assuming we're actually going to be going ahead and actually booting into H1Z1 and we're getting ready to play it, we're going to be booting into time resolution and selecting maximum, then minimizing the program, going ahead over to Steam, clicking on H1Z1, and then hitting play. And there you guys have it, the full release updated H1Z1 Ultimate FPS increase guide. Again guys, if you do appreciate the results of this video and you did find this video helpful and informative, please do leave a like on this video as it helps out tremendously, helps the channel get growth, and helps this video get out there. Also share it around with any friends, family, squad mates, Steam mates, anyone you might be playing H1Z1 with who could benefit from these fixes, or just further optimize their game. And if you guys can leave any questions, queries, results, or suggestions down in that comment section below, that would be absolutely fantastic, as it is always great to hear from you guys. And if you guys can also press that subscription button and the bell notification if you'd be so kind, to be notified whenever I release updated guides for H1Z1, other games, and other tech and PC optimization guides or how-tos. Again, for any of my frequent followers, my Patreon is down in the description down below, and it'd be deeply appreciated if you guys can go ahead and check that out. Again, it's not necessary to actually become a Patreon. You guys watching this video alone is helping me out tremendously, but for any of you guys who follow my content frequently and maybe want to help support me further to be putting more time into this, you guys can do so down at the Patreon below if you wish to do so. Other than that guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I've been PANJ, and I am out.